Hey everybody, we're in Unwrapping the Pharaohs. Going to do lesson number 2, the step pyramids. Okay, started out with the first and second dynasties of Egypt, and their embalming wasn't great, and they would bury the bodies in the sand, or sometimes they would use the mastabas that we talked about, which just was a mud brick kind of building. But then there was a change, a major change in the third dynasty under the Pharaoh Zoser. Okay, it's either Zoser or Djoser. Okay, he started to use what was called stone pyramids or step pyramids, which were made of stone blocks. Originally, he was called Net Jeriket. Okay, Zoser is much easier to pronounce, but everybody called him Zoser. He was the second king of the third dynasty. He lived around the time of Terah, and Terah was the father of Abraham from the Bible. Abraham lived in the city of Ur and Sumer. Okay, so they're all about the same time period. Okay, so Zoser had this grand idea to build these step pyramids and to make things a little better and preserve his body better. As we mentioned, remember they're important to protect their bodies, preserve their bodies, and keep them safe. So he had this man named Imhotep, who was his architect, and later Imhotep goes down in history as a great innovator and physician, and eventually was later worshipped as a deity by the Egyptians. So let's talk about the step pyramid. The step pyramid, originally when the people started discovering them, thought that they were just a mastaba. But it was an oblong building faced with limestone. Originally, the step pyramid was the base of it was sort of like a mastaba-like building. But then there was 4 stages that were built above the mastaba, and then 2 more stages built above that. So 6 steps total. Some of the facts about this Dozer's step pyramid, okay? Its base was 410 feet by 354 feet. It rose to 203 feet tall. The entrance was on the north side, was not accessible to the public. It was at the opening there was a stone shrine statue of Zoser. The entire structure was originally faced with limestone, covered in limestone. The limestone wall also surrounded the entire structure, which was 34.4 feet high and was over 1 mile in length. Also in this compound and the step pyramid, in the southeast corner, was a temple, a funerary temple. This was a temple for the rights of the departed king, one where they believed in the afterlife he would have the ability to do what he needed to do there. A curious connection to the step pyramid is the Mesopotamian connection and similarities. Remember, we told you this was the area where Abraham lived in the Ur, and the Sumerians and Babylonians were there as well. There they found what they called temple ziggurats in this Mesopotamian area. They basically were very similar to the step pyramids that they found in Egypt, and they were also used for the purposes of worship. They wanted to show and see that this showed some communication, some things between Egypt and Mesopotamia at the time. Later, an archaeologist named Sir Charles Leonard Woolley excavated Ur of the Chaldees in Sumer in 1922 to 1934. And he's the one who discovered these ziggurats and did a lot of research on the ziggurats. And his claim is that his diggings have revealed that at the same time as the construction of the Great Pyramids in Egypt, the Sumerian architects were acquainted with column, the arc, the vault, and the dome, all the basic forms of architecture. And one of the things he discovered there, and I found this to be very interesting, is on page 17, it says, "But the surprising thing is that there is not a single straight line in the entire structure. Each wall from base to top and horizontally from corner to corner is a convex curve, a curve so slight as not to be apparent, but giving to the eye of the observer an illusion of strength where a straight line might have seemed to sag under the weight of the superstructure. The architect thus employed the principle of entasis, which was to be rediscovered by the builders of the Parthenon at Athens." short lesson about Zoser and his step pyramids. And you may be thinking, okay, these aren't the pyramids that we typically think of in Egypt. These aren't the pyramids that most people want to see or talk about. So what's the importance of these? And I'll tell you quickly, the importance is this. Zoser's pyramid was not the only step pyramid built, but it was the outstanding structure which undoubtedly gave birth to the idea which was perfected in later pyramids. So it was the stepping stone, if you will, to the Great Pyramids and the other pyramids that we see and really want to talk about in Egypt.